What's going on? It's your boy DameSmiff, and today I wanted to talk to you guys really quickly about my understanding on how to learn. And the key thing to understand about this is that this is more of a skill and not necessarily a concept. Like you won't just understand this one time and then it'll click. It's something you got to constantly work at in order to get the full benefit from it, the full effects of it, and to be useful to other people around you. So what do I mean by how to learn? A lot of the times when you're having conversations with people about a new idea, a new problem, or maybe y'all are just debating about something, what tends to happen sometimes is questions will be asked, but some of the questions asked don't necessarily need to be answered because the person asking already knows the answer, or they're using it as a way to kind of nudge the conversation a certain direction. Now, the reason I'm saying that is that you can understand and identify when and how people are asking you questions and when you can ask a question and what you're really trying to get from a question. And so when I think of like learning how to play an instrument, or if I'm a musician, I want to learn how to play a new instrument, a new style, a new genre or something like that. In my mind, I have learned that there are ways to ask questions to get very, very specific answers and results. And there's other questions that get you no results, or they're just not valuable enough to actually get you anything productive. So the key thing that I've learned trying to master this in a way is that before you even think of a question, you have to have something you need to know, or something you need to fix. Because if you just instinctually just reflex ask a question, most times it's going to be a question that will about to be answered. It's a question that if you take a second to think, you can figure it out on your own. Or it's a question that doesn't really need to be answered. It's just, your curiosity peaking in the moment. And this can be a waste of time. This can be distracting, especially if you're having a conversation with somebody. This can like derail the conversation as far as moving from specifically what you're trying to get from the conversation or the question you're asking. So let's try to think of a couple examples, right? So if you're having a conversation with someone and they want to talk to you about what they did for the day, right? They're like, "Oh, I went to work. After work, I went and got lunch, and then I came home after work." A question you can ask could be anything to do with that day, right? But why would you ask it? What are you trying to learn? And what do you need to know about, what they've explained to you? Now that I've pointed that out, for some people, there's two different kinds of questions running through your mind right now. Like one question could be, well, what did you have for lunch, right? But why do you need to know what they had for lunch? And this is where some people will have a problem with like small talk. They'll have an issue with, just random conversations they have with people, because this question right here, as it pertains to, two grown adults, is a waste of time. Like, it will not matter to get the answer to this question. It will not matter to ask the question. It's just an existing question, right? But if you were to ask as a person who's maybe a chef, a cook, or maybe you're a food blogger, a foodie, or maybe the both of you have interests in different restaurants, what did you have for lunch is a very different question suddenly. And the only reason it's different is because the intent behind the question, meaning you need the answer, not you don't have a need to ask, you have a need to get the answer, right? And there's also a kind of like connection to the question that's personal. Like, like I said before, you may have a job or hobby that relates to the question you're asking. Now, in that example, it's great to understand how that works, because now when you go into situations as a musician or as an artist or as a creative influencer, content creator, whatever your mind lands on, it can be your 9 to 5 corporate job, right? Now you can kind of take that example and think for a second. Okay, if I walk into, as an artist, a rehearsal or studio session and I don't understand something, how can I ask a question that's going to get me the answer I need, right? Thinking like that takes practice. It's a skill because it's something that it's not going to be at the forefront. It's not natural. It's like learning how to talk. Like you have to practice it, get good at it, learn what works in certain rooms with certain people and get you certain results with those rooms and people. But if you're in a situation as an artist and you don't understand something and you either what I see a lot of people do is if you just wait for the answer to be given to you, wait for somebody else to ask the question you hope they ask, or you kind of just stay ignorant. You just don't need to know, or you don't feel pressure to know, so you don't ask. And this is where a lot of musicians and artists tend to kind of fall back and fall off when it comes to their career and their mindset. Now, I'm using musicians because I myself am a musician. This channel is centered around artists and musicians, but this can be utilized in many other industries, places in life, and relationships because you're going to learn that you don't have time to waste, but you do have a lot of time to learn. So if you don't know something and you're thinking, man, I want to learn to play the trumpet, but I'm 54 and busy. I don't think I have time to do that. Well, you do have time to learn to get good at something. You don't have time to waste. So if you want to learn the trumpet, then you have to think, okay, hmm, this is what I want from this instrument and this hobby. Now you can formulate a rack of questions, a whole lot of questions that can get you the answers you need to get to that point. But if you don't take that moment to literally find out what answer or what kind of answers you're looking for in your questions, it's going to be very difficult for you to learn. And you won't be learning, you will just be kind of just mentally masturbating. Like you just sit there and learn about bull crap about like to keep it on trumpets. You learn stuff about the different lacquers on a trumpet, the different brands, and what players play the best or what cool songs are out there. All of those questions can be answered, but it's a waste of time for somebody who's trying to be good at their instrument. Those questions don't get you to know what scales are or what scales to play. They don't teach you about long tones. They don't teach you about circular breathing or how exercise affects your musicianship or how nutrition affects your musicianship. There's a lot of things that you need to ask in order to be efficient that you may not think of because your mindset isn't on learning. Your mindset is just, curiosity. You're inquisitive. You're just excited to learn about new things, but you don't know how to learn what you need to learn. So if this is helpful to you guys, let me know, because these are just kind of like concepts I have in my head sometimes that I think about and I want to pass down to either younger musicians and artists or maybe people older than me that may not have come across these concepts and need to just kind of like walk themselves through the thought process a little bit. So that's kind of what the goal was here. So let me know if this was helpful to you. Did you learn any ways to approach things you don't know in a more efficient way? Did you learn how you have been approaching things you don't know? Do you think you can do it better? I don't know. Answer some of these questions in the comments and I'll make response videos to some of them.
They won't give you no time of day. People ain't won't give you no time of day. Nah, they won't give you no time of day. People ain't want you to accommodate. Nah, they won't give you no time of day. People ain't won't give you no time of day. Nah, they won't give you no time of day. People ain't want you to accommodate.
Yeah, people around here won't give you the time of day. They want you to come out when it's time to play. Lie to your face, all kind of fake. I used to think I had time, not today.